breakfast. Now stop that squealing. You'll call them all in here to you. These two ain't gonna get nothing more. I bet your dish cleaned out. I didn't know if you did. Yeah. What the heck? It's awful stuff to keep you out. Come, babes! But look who's here, Daddy. Oh, my goodness, that ain't my baby. It's my little baby. Come on, Poppy. Eat your corn. Nobody's gonna bother you. Come on, baby.
Jenny Purington Cirone has lived most of her life in the coastal Maine village of South Addison.
Come on.
For some of those years, Jenny and her family lived on a nearby island, Nash Island.
I'm called Nash Island, rough and plain now. I recall I spoke his name and pleaded so enchantingly. They came, John and his family. They came to me to keep the light. My tower was kept all painted white. They came to me and made me gay with trodden paths where children play.
We got on Nash Island 16th day of January 1916. Yeah. And of course I thought I was 5 years old and I wasn't even 4. Yeah. Because I can remember that just as well, because about everybody got seasick coming down.
Jenny's parents, John and Ellen Purington, arrived at Nash Island with their children. Jenny, her sister Mary, and 5 brothers. In time, there would be 9 children in all.
The Hibiscus brought us down. That was the Hibiscus right there. Of course, that's a big boat, you know. But you think of being shut up in that boat with a bunch of kids. Of course, it's a big boat, but still it was, you know, quite a responsibility to keep us all together. We wasn't no angels, I know that.
Jenny's father was born in Portland, Maine. He'd been a Marine fireman on the U.S. Lighthouse tender Geranium. In 1905, he began working at a series of lighthouse stations in Maine, first as assistant keeper on Egg Rock and then on Great Duck Island. He was the keeper on Mark Island for 16 months. In 1916, the family moved again, and he became the keeper of Nash Island Light. He stayed there for 19 years, until his retirement in 1935.
My father swapped everything. You know, we had, up there in Mark Island, he had cattle and a cow, and, you know, pigs and hens and chicken. He swapped everything. And when he come to Nash Island, that guy had a full-bodied Jersey with her horns all brushed up. She looked just like a buffalo. That was the 16th day of January. Not a spit of grain, not a bit of hay on the island. My father was so ugly, because my father was a great feeder. Everything he had, he fed it good.
Nash Island lies a few miles offshore, near the entrance to Pleasant Bay. Its lighthouse was one of over 80 stations, which once marked ocean routes along the rugged coast of Maine. In December 1837, the United States government purchased a small 4-acre piece of Nash Island. A light tower and keeper's house were built there the following year. By the 1850s, the light tower and keeper's buildings had fallen into disrepair. Improvements were made in 1858 and 1873. A brick tower replaced the old one. It was equipped with a state-of-the-art lamp and a 4th-order Fresnel lens system imported from Paris, France. The coast of Maine, along with its many islands, is both a hazard and a haven to coastal shipping. A district inspector wrote the following to his superiors in Washington.
The coast of Maine differs from all other portions of our coast except perhaps Florida, in the fact that the large number of islands have cut up its waters into a number of passages or thoroughfares, which, ensuring the coaster's smooth water and a harbor, are used to a very great extent in preference to going outside.
These thoroughfares were an oceanic highway serving the economic life of Maine's coastal and inland communities. Towns like Addison depended on coastal traffic for trade with distant ports. Hundreds of sailing cargo ships were built in Addison and surrounding towns. Ships from distant places brought in goods for delivery to local businesses. They carried away lumber and shingles from nearby forests and mills. Large quantities of fine granite were shipped from Addison's thriving quarries. Scheduled steamers like the City of Richmond passed by Nash Light traveling from Eastport to Machiasport, then on to Bar Harbor and Portland. Local ships, skippered by Addison men, sailed to Boston, New York, Havana, and beyond. Sometimes their families traveled with them. In thick or foggy weather, the keeper at Nash Island would respond to passing vessels by striking a Chinese gong. With so much ocean traffic, an improved signal device was needed. On November 11, 1887, the district lighthouse engineer wrote to the Lighthouse Board in Washington.
I have the honor to report that on the 7th instant, a fog bell house was completed at Nash's Island Maine Light Station, and the bell with striking machine mounted in readiness to be put in operation in accordance with the board's instructions of 30th June and 3rd August 87. The machine is adjusted to strike 1 and 2 blows alternately at intervals of 20 seconds.
Life on Nash Island was hard and getting harder. Along with the daily maintenance of the light, it was now the added burden of maintaining the new fog bell, required to operate whenever weather conditions were poor. In January 1892, Charles Holt, then keeper of Nash Light, wrote to Eugene Hale at the Lighthouse Board asking for a raise. He reasoned,
"They put a bell on here that goes by machinery. In thick or stormy weather, it has to be going all the time. It has to be wound up every 5 hours, night or day. Sometimes it has run 119 hours steady. There's about 3 acres of poor land here, just fit for a cow pasture. We can't raise anything but a few potatoes. I am just as poor at the end of the year as I am at the beginning."
Jenny has always maintained a deep attachment to the islands of her youth. Over the years, she was able to purchase most of her childhood home, the non-government-owned land on Little Nash Island, and all of its close neighbor, Big Nash Island. On these 2 islands, Jenny keeps her flock of sheep. Every year in the spring, along with the help of lifelong friends, she goes out to her islands to tend the ewes during lambing season.
Isn't that a cute one? My, look at the lambs, Jenny.
You ever see such a man? Look at that little fella. He's big enough.
Yeah, but sorry, he's not.
Well, try to count them. Oh, I believe that's one's got 3 right over there. See, there they go, see ya?
Oh, yes, so there's the triplets right there. golly, look at the land.
Don't they look just like little maggots running around?
Oh, wait, Jenny, I've never seen anything like it. This is just beautiful. Now you know this is worth living for.
Jenny is extremely sensitive to the condition and well-being of her sheep. It's not uncommon for her to be away from the island hauling her lobster traps and sense that a ewe may be in distress.
We got up one morning and Jenny said, I ought to haul today. Well, I said, you go to haul and I'll check the island. And I said, if I see any trouble, I'll wave, you know. So I come over across the island, and I got right out here. Down on the beach, there was a sheep that was having her lamb, and she just couldn't have it, see. So I stood up here, Jenny was out here hauling, and I waved like this and waved for her to come in. Didn't pay no attention to me. Pretty soon, I saw her coming, and I said, well, I waved and waved, you didn't see me. No, she said, I didn't see you, but she said, I saw the sheep on the beach. Mind you, here a great big hulk like I am.
Two little dogs.
She didn't see me, but she saw that sheep. I couldn't get over that.
Jenny's love for her sheep began during her earliest years on Nash Island.
Yeah, I just used to play with all the time. Yeah, just far back as I can remember, I've had sheep. We had an old ram that used to ride three of us around. Yeah, he used to ride Mary, a sister, and I, and Carl. And we'd get on the back just same to the horse. Then my sister took him out one wise day and hitched him to a toboggan. And that was the last of us hitching him out. And boy, she took an awful wild ride before Father got out and caught her. And we had some awful actions with them, I'm telling you. That's all, when we was kids, that's all I had to play with sheep. You used to hunt them up like horses, haul hay and haul coal with them. They take bag of coal. Sometimes up the hill we'd help them with 2 bags, and they'd zip right up the house.
Carl was the baby of the family then, just 2 weeks old when they arrived on the island. 60 years later, in Jenny's trusty pea pod, Carl rows us from Big Nash to Little Nash Island for a visit.
That's Carl over the boat. That's the boathouse right there. That's right on the edge of the shore over there. That's where we piled the traps so we could work on them. We had 140 traps, and I hauled half of them. My father and Mary hauled the other half. We always used that water to drink. Then we had 2 systems up to the house that we caught water to, you know, to wash dishes and all that stuff. But I never knew that well going dry. You know. We always had a, cover on it, but then it rotted away after. So I had all this junk piled on top of the well so that the lambs wouldn't fall in. There's the walk my father made. It went from the boathouse up the hill to the barn, just so he wouldn't be walking in the mud, I guess. They didn't have it till he made it. This is my sister, Mary, and me. We wasn't very old. My sister was almost 3 years older than I was. That's the only sister I had. The rest of them 7 brothers.
A day came when Jenny's older sister had bossed her around one too many times.
She sent me to the house once to get her something from the barn. I always had to wait on her all the time, and so I got up the house. My mother couldn't understand what I said. I stamped my feet at her. When I did, my cat come out from under the stove and walloped her right on the arm because she dropped me like a hot potato. She grabbed me right by the shoulders. And of course she was going to shake me, and the cat didn't let her. Now that had been a dog, you'd thought something about it, but not a cat. Now I ran down to the barn, and I told my sister, I said, "You're never going to send me after anything again as long as you live." She says, "That's what you think." I said, "That's exactly what I think, and that's exactly the way it's going to be." "Oh, we'll see about it." I said, "Don't do it. Don't do it, Mary. I'm warning you." I said, "I've been watching you." I said, "I got a lot more strength than you got." I said, "Don't do it." He says, "I'm going to prove to you that you're going to do it." And I said, "Don't." I begged her not to do it. I really beat her something awful. And then we got along just like that afterwards. I didn't have to do all the errands neither. Well, that's Cliffy right there. And this is my older brother was supposed to be taking care of. He's down working on traps. And that's the little brat that fired all the eggs at the pig. And every time he'd hit him in the butt, the pig would squeal. See, that's like all the wood around this shore. You can see it here. We used to pick all this. You wouldn't see nothing like that out there when we was living there. They didn't like to have a coal stove going all summer, so we burnt wood in the summer. We'd go and get all the driftwood off on the other big island, and on our island, because we'd drag it up. And that's what we had for wood. Take 2 pods and go over and fill up the boats, and, bring them back on the high water, and then fit the wood out. We always had a big wood pile. When we didn't get off the other island, we got it off the little island. We always kept the wood cleaned up. We never lacked for wood. There was always something to do. If you wasn't doing that, you were whitewashing the post. The 4-foot post that they had patting off the land. The government had half of the land, and the guy up in Addison had the other half. So we had to whitewash them posts every year. Whitewash the barn and the boathouse. See that tub right there? That's what they had for like a washing machine. You turned the handle and put the clothes in there, and it had ridges all around it, and it would go round and round, wash the clothes like your electric ones are. Oh, that was a great thing. We had all kinds of work to do, plenty of it. There was always something to do, just same as it is in any home. This is me milking the cow, but somehow they got this backwards because I never milked a cow on that side in my life. You always milk on that right side, yeah. They kick the lining out of you, yeah. I think they was probably looking for flounder or something, because we used to go spearing from them. We never could catch them on hook and line out to Nash's, but we always, could spear them. We used to go down between the islands. You get them great, big, beautiful flounders.
The Nash Light Tower rises over 30 feet from the ground, placing its light at 51 feet above sea level. Maintaining the white-painted brick and black metal lantern was one of the keeper's responsibilities.
We had to paint the whole thing every other year.
Jenny helped her father with the painting.
On the tower, he had me in a bolster chair. That's just a plank and 2 pieces of rope right up to it and a tackle. And he fastened it up on the top. And then he hoisted me up to the railing there.
First, old paint had to be scaled or scraped, and Jenny had to overcome her fear of heights.
You had to scale it every time you painted it. So when he got me up there, he says, "You know we ain't got all day, don't you?" He says, "Start scaling." I says, "I can't." He says, "Why can't you?" I says, "My hands won't let go." "Oh," he says, "I'll fix that." He dropped me about 10 feet. He fixed them all right. Brought me up, my hands worked all right. Then we had to do the bell tower. That was worse than a tower, because on that part, when you look down at them, all them ledges down there, was a long ways off. It don't seem possible that I'd done the whole thing, but I did.
There was just enough land for a small garden and to raise hay for the animals.
Only had a wheelbarrow. We had a two-wheel cart for a while. We hauled around, got a hay in. We made Father made it for us, and we'd cut enough hay on there to winter a cow. What sheep we had over. Once in a while, we'd have to buy a little. That's the load of hay we was taking up the barn, put up into the roof. The men folks cut it, and we had to tend it. No, I could mow hay too. That's my father and brothers. That's the rakes, and see the scythe here? You know what a scythe is, don't you? Well, it's got a big knife on it, and it's got two handles on a wooden stick. And you take them two handles and just shoo, shoo, mow it down, that's all right. Then take them rakes and rake them up in the windrows, keep turning it over till it's dry. Because it's an awful job, because I almost always got fog. I ever have foggy days to get hay dried out there, but we did. When Dad say how many years we had turkeys out there. That's Earl again. Yeah, that's him with a turkey. That's one of our turkeys. That was one that partly grown, and he got up, held there to take his picture. People didn't realize they were telling both these golden years, don't look for them, whatever you do. There's no such a thing. Your golden year, that was our golden years right out there. When you could shove your feet in under the table, come in and grab an armful of cookies or anything you wanted to eat, and 3 meals a day. That was our golden years, but we didn't know enough to know. We thought we was abused most of the time, I suppose. We never lacked for food, never. That's my father up there. He got both hands full of birds. On the 23rd day of April, with 2 shots, he shot 42, I think, and that was his birthday. He was 42 years old. Now that's quite a stack of birds, you know it. Now you tell about there was a little work getting them picked. See, we used to have a big galvanized tub, and we'd freeze them in that, put them out in the woodshed and freeze them. And when you wanted one, just go chop them out. And that's how we kept them in the winter. But of course, these had to be all picked and cleaned and canned.
Exposed to the elements, the house and other buildings were often battered by sudden storms.
Sometimes it was quite scary. When the house shakes enough to take the books off from the stands, we'd run downstairs and put a mattress on the floor in the dining room, sleep on the mattress. And that solid door blew open, that carpet on the floor covered up just like that.
With the wind lifting the carpets off the floor and all of the adults away, the 4 youngsters huddled inside the house. They knew that one of them would have to venture out to nail down the cellar doors.
I know there was Carl and Mary and myself, and Avis was there. And I had to go out and put that solid door down, but you couldn't look into it to take your breath right away. I had to back out. I got the solid door shut, sat on it, hollered for somebody to bring the nails. They'd open up the door and throw the nails at me. They don't want to step out the door. And I got it nailed down. We made out all right, but we were scared.
All aboard! Thinking myself. I know.
Gonna sink, Darcy?
No, she ain't gonna sink. We're going with her. Whatever. Oh, I'm just checking this out.
In mid-June, a month or so after the lambing season, Jenny, her brother Carl, and their many friends returned to the islands to round up her sheep for shearing.
You got Jenny. You take off. You girls piling with her. Oh, there's plenty of up there.
Lindsay, you warm enough?
Pretty good. Graceful old boy. Good for your eyes, just to look out across here.
She's all tight, right straight down. I had a good crew there this morning.
You did? Oh, this is brutal. This is brutal. Let's get driving. Let's get driving.
I thought there was 200 there when they were coming by. I'll go get some hay and put right in there.
Oh, boy.
Yes, no never, no never. This is the one Stan, this is Mike. Stan used to say, jump the fence. He'd hop over the fence, and I would say, all right, jump back. He'd jump back.
Forget me.
Yeah,
This one right here?
This one right here.
Jenny and Mary's father taught his daughters to shear sheep by hand.
How I learned to shear was a pair of scissors. Father would be shearing on one end and I'd be shearing on the other end. That's how I started to learn. Then he got me a set of real sheep shears. After I learned to shear, it was like milking. I should never learn to milk. Because that's what I had to do when I had to learn, and I learned to shear, as I say. So we sheared them after that.
One of the keeper's duties was maintaining records of the light station. The fog bell log recorded the hours of signal operation, and a journal was kept of weather conditions and daily activities. Its pages chronicle the details of station life.
It's the journal of the Lighthouse station at Nash Island. September the 1st. Boy, we were setting traps then. That was a calm day. That brass cleaning was, oh, didn't I hate that? And you had to do it every other day. If you didn't, it would turn green on you then. It was really polishing. You had to do it right. You couldn't get by sneaking away from it every now and then. Don't mention us. You should see brass work. That's cleaning up the brass. He never mentioned us kids doing it for him. They're supposed to be doing it. Why didn't we read this book while we was growing up? Then we'd made them work harder. Boarding wood and wheeling wood. Working in the barn.
There were countless personal chores necessary for keeping the family fed, clothed, warm, and healthy. But the family's daily routines revolved primarily around the upkeep and operation of the light. That's why they were there, to ensure safe and reliable navigation to vessels at sea.
Today, you don't need the lighthouse, but that lighthouse was a marker, same as all the fishermen used it as a marker. And I've used it myself many a time.
The oil lamp in the tower would burn through the night, every night. In foggy weather, the bell mechanism had to be wound up every 5 or 6 hours, day or night. The bell tower housed the striking mechanism, a large clock whose weights had to be cranked up to the peak.
The only thing we had to check during the night was a bell. You had to wind that up about in the middle of the night. We got wise to it. We took a pin out, you know, it ran just like a clock. So my father would probably kill us if he'd known what we'd done, because we were the ones that had to go out and wind it up. I don't know whether the boys found it, who found it, but anyway, there was a little thing that set it off every time, you know. So we took one of them out, and she'd go all night. My father said, funny thing, nobody wound up that bell last night. I don't know if he ever found out what we was doing. But if you left that pin in there, about 1 o'clock you'd hear, bell stopped, get up, go wind up the bell. Went ashore. Yeah.
Frequent trips off station were recorded, trips ashore for provisions, getting mail, doctor visits, and the like.
Here's where he went ashore at 9 and returned at 11:30. I don't believe that one either. If he got ashore, he'd find somebody to talk to. He'd sneak off, and he loved to play baseball. He'd come in here, and the team, you know, they had a team here in South Addison. They used to play up on the hill. Didn't he love to get in on that? And we had our playtime. My father would play with us, and Mother would play, and, you know. We'd go out and play baseball, and he'd be one team, and the rest of us be all the team. He'd bat that ball, sometime go right clean down to the boathouse.
Occasionally, the lighthouse tenders, Hibiscus or Ilex, would arrive to deliver materials for repairs or annual supplies of oil and coal.
There was two of them. There was a Hibiscus and the Ilex. They take turns coming down. I would say that that was the crew that landed the coal on the island. This boat here, they loaded up with coal, and all these boys would like get out and dump it up there by the boathouse, and then we had to do from that to get it up the house. They'd only have to make about 2 trips out there, and they'd get 7 tons of coal ashore. The only thing they furnished out there was coal and oil. The oil was to run the light, and the coal was to heat the house. Oh, here, he's wheeling coal today. Now, I bet he won't say a word about us hauling it. That was October, wheeling coal today.
Government workers occasionally stayed on the island to do special construction work or repairs. Twice a year, the district lighthouse superintendent would arrive to inspect the station.
The only way we'd know whether it's coming, see, was the lighthouse keepers would call from one station to the other, let you know that the inspectors on the way.
One time, Jenny's father was away from the island when he got word that the inspector was arriving. He rushed back just in time.
My father got the staff of being the best-dressed lighthouse keeper. He was some proud of himself, and he'd just made it. He'd been in the harbour here somewhere. And I get the picture of him. Here's his belly way out here, because he never even took his coat off or anything. He just put, you know, his uniform right on over everything. He just made it, and that old inspector knew it too. He said, "You just made it this time." He said, "I made it." And they got a star for that. This one here is pretty well filled up.
Several boats were maintained by the family, including a government boat, which was provided to the keeper for official use.
But we couldn't use it if we wanted to come in and stay overnight. See, we'd row in. I've rowed that a good many times. Might have been wanting to go to the movies or something. Yeah. My oldest brother used to come out and take us clean way up the river. Then we'd walk from the west side of the river uptown to go to the movies. Moonlight night especially, he'd always pick a beautiful night. Then we'd come home in the moonlight. Hit that beautiful sail down through there.
When Jenny and her family lived on the island, there was always an assortment of friends invited to share a meal. Around their dinner table, they shared food, laughter, and conversation.
I got more coffee about ready. I've lost it all there.
Years later, when she and her friends returned to her island camp, that tradition continues.
Just put a drop of water into that. Just enough. Oh, I see what you did. There. Okay.
Hey, you want to get that?
That's me again. And it was on 4th of July, the whole crowd was out there. I was playing ducks, I was flying, see, like a duck, and I didn't know there was any cameras around. I was a duck, and they were supposed to shoot me. And I wasn't drinking neither. 4th of July, they'd land out there, whole crowd, 4th of July. I always had the crowd around. They'd come out there by the boatloads, you know, and they'd get somebody to take them out. Boys would get friends, and the sister'd have her friend, and I'd have my friends, you know. Well, the only thing I know of, maybe they liked my mother's cooking, and my father was a good cook too, yeah. I don't think my mother ever set that. No, we set the table, but well, there's only one from 1 to 15 there. You always had plenty of company. I don't know what room, tell you the truth, unless it was the boys and the girls, you know, yeah. That was one of my boyfriends. That was Morris Beale, and that's me there. And it took him and 2 other ones to powder me up. They'd chase me around, get that powder on me in the afternoon, to get that picture taken. That's me there. Would you believe that's me? I probably had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I guess, that, you know, wanted to get married. And how do I meet them? Through another boyfriend that couldn't make no sense out of me, I guess. That's how I met a lot of them. I wasn't ready to get married when I was 16, 17 years old, that was all. I was scared of boys. You'd think that I'd been brought up with them, that I wouldn't have been, but I was. But it's just one of them things, that's all I can tell you.
One boyfriend was Stan Cirone, Jenny's future husband. They're seen here with her young niece, Eva. Were they engaged at the time?
Oh, I guess so. I know when he asked my father if he could have me to get married, he had one foot in the bow of the boat, and he looked at me, called him Purington. Hey, Purington, don't care if the old lady and I gets married, do you? And he jumped in the boat. Pop said, I don't care if that's the way you want it. He hollered out at him when the boat was going down the slip. Oh, poor old Pop. Everybody was scared to death of him. But he had a heart big as an ox.
After Nash Island Light was automated, the Coast Guard no longer needed to maintain the other buildings.
47, they burnt the house down. The Coast Guard had it then. And they said, well, it's better for us to burn it. Well, anyway, they set my land afire. So I went up to him in the boat. That's the only time I ever felt like hurting anybody in my life. He made me so mad I could run over him. But anyway, I went up to him, I said, when are you going to put them fires out? He says, I'm not going to. I said, oh, yes, you're going to. Well, he said, I'm not, I'm telling you. He was nearly nasty. Of course, I was getting a little bit. Well, I said, we'll see about it. So I got home. Now, Pop, my husband, says, now, old mouth organ. He says, what are you going to do about it? I said, give me time to think. I've been thinking all the way home. I said, I'm thinking. Just give me time to think. Oh, I said, I know just exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going down to that Admiral McMaster's and see if I could find out where to call. So I went down, and he said, what you want? Well, I said, I'd like to have a little help. They got the island all on fire out there, and they're burning my side right up.
Not only was the Coast Guard burning down the buildings, but much more distressing to Jenny, they were burning her precious pasture land needed to feed her sheep. She was not going to let that happen without a fight.
I said, I don't care how many enemies I made. They're ruining the island for my sheep. I said, that's all I'm worried about, so sheep have enough to eat.
The Admiral intervened on Jenny's behalf, and the Coast Guard brought fireboats to put out the fires on Nash Island.
They on them 3 big boats out there for 3 days before they got that fire. Because you see that smink there, it go burn out the rocks and it come over here, see, burn out them till they come to rocks and then go over this. Oh, there wasn't been nothing on that island. They made a lot of ledges for me. I saved my island anyway.
Upon my path John wheeled his tools, his children learned the simple rules. They mowed and raked and hauled my hay and carted coal for winter's day. They brightened all my lonely shores with endless work and daily chores through rain and fog and gales and snow, while ocean swells crash to and fro. Those days are gone, but memories swell of all the stories I could tell, all filled with sunsets rich and clear. Though times were hard, this land is dear. My Jenny brought her mothered sheep upon my shores for me to keep. It warms my heart, I love her so. I want you and the world to know. Oh, people love their islands fair, but I've a secret now to share, and I will speak of all that's true. We islands love our people too. We islands love our people too.